Hello, friends. I am Alex.
Hi, ho, Laura.
And you are listening to the WeArePR
Podcast.
So much enthusiasm. Oh, pause for just a minute. We need to take a selfie to document that we're actually doing this. Why don't you... You don't look thrilled at all.
Huh.
I look so happy.
You do.
Cool.
Every time.
That's because I'm a happy person.
So, I believe you were asked this question a while back.
Yeah, okay, so, which is bad because, first off, hello, we've been gone for a while, and we're back now.
We're back.
Kinda, not really. We didn't ever really leave, but, okay. So I got this question a while ago, and I didn't really answer it just because we had so much going on, but this question kind of ties into that. So the question that we got on Twitter was, how do we produce high-level content on time and within budget? Which is cool, because that means someone out there thinks that we have cool content. Yeah. Ta-da! So, I'm going to defer this one to our content marketing team. Laura, do you want to take this one away?
So basically we plan everything.
Everything.
I think we've talked about it before, how we literally scheduled everything out for our release in July.
Yes.
That was the first time that we had had basically a strategy going into a release, because the other ones we kind of just were like, well, when we get them done, and then we'll figure out a date from there. So we sat down and literally wrote out what we wanted to have done each week, and we gave ourselves a lot of time. But basically we planned everything out. We took a big calendar and we wrote out, okay, this needs to be done on this, Wednesday, and by 2 weeks from this Wednesday, we need to have this done, and so on and so forth.
So can you give an example so we can get specifically, some specifics of how detailed we went with this list?
So we went detailed to the extent of, we said, I'm just gonna go in a month. We said, by the 1st of May, we needed to have the shirts that we were gonna print on order. And then 2 weeks from that first date, so 14 days later, we needed to have, I think we already had designs planned out for the shirts that we were gonna make, but we needed to have all of our supplies on order. So any inks, squeegee, transparencies, and screens, anything like that we would need to print, we would need to have those in 2 weeks from when we placed that order, and then 2 weeks later from that we would have all of our screens burned and ready to go. So
it's a pretty high level, but at the same time it's got enough detail to keep us on track.
Yeah.
So there is some wiggle room in there. It's not planned out to the minute or the hour or the day even.
No.
But there is hard dates worked for us. That's how we found we operate, and we found that out with kind of plan out the release. So how did we kind of carry that? Do you want to talk about how we kind of carried that over to the content, I guess?
The content, we've kind of reconfigured that a few times. So we started out with trying to have 3 posts a day of a different kind of post every single day, and you really started scheduling out per day, and you broke it out into how many Twitter posts, how many Instagram, how many Facebook, and a YouTube video, and you were doing that every single day, and you'd plan it out for a full week at a time.
And that was brutal. So that's how I started, and you gotta learn from your mistakes, but I would not recommend doing that. Oh, are you serious? We got the red flashing battery of death.
Well, let's try and get through, as much of it as we can.
Okay, speed podcast. So we went through our planning. We plan everything out, and we really plan out all of our content. We know what we're gonna post, but again, now I don't plan it out to the. I do have a game plan. I know what I kind of want to do, but there's enough flexibility in there to give me enough wiggle room that if something does come up, or if we finish a product, or if we finish shooting, I don't have to wait 4 days to post it because it wasn't on the schedule. And the other half of this question kind of addressed the budget side of it. And I don't know if people think that we are much bigger than we actually are, but this month, September, is actually going to be our very first month of actually having a marketing budget, which is kind of cool. So I really don't want to talk about it that much because I don't know that much about it. I really don't know great ways. I've done some Facebook ads, but again, I'm not an expert on it, and I really don't want to talk about it until I get some more like dirt underneath my fingernails, until I actually taste it and actually get into it. So hopefully we are going to run some Facebook ads this month with a little bit larger budget, and we're going to see how it goes. So maybe after this month I can talk on a little bit more, but we really didn't have a budget up until now.
Yeah. And we did a lot of it ourselves, which if you are working on a budget, you need to be able to do a lot of the work yourself, because you're not going to be able to afford to pay somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
So whether you have a friend that's willing to help you out by doing, a couple of your stuff, or if you're literally doing it all, give yourself enough time and don't stretch yourself out too much. But that's one way to really save a lot of money, is to be willing to learn how to make the content you want to make.
Yeah, another good pro tip is to marry someone who's really good at photography and editing stuff. It's free labor and it's great.
Whatever.
Nah, she's talented though, and that's another huge part. If you are not talented at photography or photo editing, you can definitely learn. It's going to take some time, but you can definitely tell when someone's got an eye for that, especially with photography. And Laura does have a fantastic eye for that, and she does all of our product shoots. And I am extremely happy with how they turn out. Just about every Instagram quote you see is also done by her. So I mean, she does a lot, and it's a lot about breaking out who has the time and who has the talent for it. Because it's just the two of us. We don't have a team. We can't afford a team. Like I said, we have a marketing budget for the first time for the month of September. But it's okay. That's kind of how it has to be in the very beginning.
Going kind of back to the planning aspect, we really did go about every 2 weeks for stuff for these first few releases, because we wanted to make sure we had enough time, because we didn't structure all of our previous releases. We were not sure exactly how long we would need, and we found ourselves with a lot more time than I think we actually need. But that gave us a lot of learning time as well.
Learning curve.
Yeah, because while we had enough time on this release, we did have a couple times where we were like, oh crap, we need this. But we had given ourselves enough time that we could have, bounced back from it really easily if we were, cutting it close.
Yeah. And she keeps talking about releases, but every single one of those lessons that we took from the release can be applied to this content.
Yeah.
It's all about making sure you've got enough time. Because if your computer crashes or a picture doesn't turn out high quality enough, or the way you like it, or it's not structured right, you've got to make sure you've got time in there to readjust it, especially if you're a one-man show or a two-person show like us.
Yeah, so back to that, don't cut out all of the time that you really need and expect it to be perfect. If you're going to put yourself on a really short deadline, you're probably going to cut some corners, and it's probably not going to be as high level as you want it to be. So make sure you've given yourself enough time to create what you actually want, and to edit it and edit it and edit it. Because there are a few times when it's like, it could be just a little bit off, and you'll be like, well, it's good enough, and then it'll bug you 2 days later because it wasn't actually what you wanted.
And there is a fine line with that comes with knowing when it's good enough, and understanding when putting 20 more minutes into is a waste of your time, because you could have allocated that somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean, don't edit to the point that your brain is bleeding.
Yeah, no bloody brains.
But, I mean, don't leave unhappy with it necessarily, but know when to call it, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, we do not stick to our game plan 100% of the time. Like, let's look at the last week, for example. This is like the first video in a week that you've seen on our channel, and that's just because and honestly, we could have been focused on other stuff, but we were so focused on printing, and we had a ton of orders come in, and with every order we have to we don't have to, but we choose to handwrite a letter, and I mean, that takes time. We are an operating business. We are not, our business plan does not just posting Instagram pictures and Facebook videos and Snapchats. Like, we are running a business. So that's going to come first. And if we can't get out the content because her and I are either on different pages or we're both working on two different things, then that's okay. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. It does bug me a little bit, but you use that hunger and that fire to get back and put out content like this to really up your game and just figure out something new. Because if you don't and you just keep letting things slide downhill and downhill and downhill, that's exactly where they're going to go. And even when we took like a week off, it wasn't even really a week off, but like a week away from going super hard on content, I mean, there are repercussions for that. Our engagement levels dropped a little bit, our subscribers counts dropped a little bit, so there are going to be repercussions for it. But on the flip side of that, we have an amazing shirts too, actually, printed. Everything turned out really well. Our business is doing better than we ever have before. And everything is just going really well right now, which is why content hadn't been in the forefront. And I'm okay with that. Until I can have a team that's dedicated to doing content and content alone, Laura and I have to prioritize our time. We have to prioritize because posting an Instagram picture is not as important to us as actually producing a product and getting someone's order out. And it's just that simple. Yep.
I'm sorry, I don't know how to tail end that.
I don't know how to end videos either. So, we appreciate you watching or listening. More of listening because we're on SoundCloud and I like SoundCloud. Ooh, if you've made it this far, you don't know this yet. I really want to bring people onto this. Whether that's through Skype or it's through something. You're kind of giving me a weird look. But I think it would be really cool if I could if we could network with people. We would bring a topic and we would basically just do a podcast with you and talk through a topic. So if you're interested in that and you've made it all 12 minutes and 9 seconds into this, please send me an email. Email is WeArePRClothing@gmail.com and tell me that you want to be in our podcast. And if you have an idea of a topic or if you want to interview us, let me know in that email because I want to make that happen. I think it'd be really cool to engage more people that way. But yes, there's my little rant at the end. So, we made it all the way through the podcast and our little battery is still flashing at us. Bingo. We did good.
I think so.
I think so. It wasn't quite as long as I wanted, but I think we answered the question pretty well.
Yeah, I think so.
If we didn't, let us know down below.
Okay.
So, thank you. Appreciate it. Take it easy, guys.
Bye.
Bye.